Buckle your seatbelts, my love. This week's astrology is going to be a bumpy ride. Good morning, all. My name is Comet. This is Magic Monday, and welcome to the astrological forecast for the week of November 7th to November 13th. What is happening celestially and how you, my love, are going to anchor in this energy practically, tangibly within your world. How you can expect these cosmic themes to come to the surface within your day-to-day. I am here every single Monday morning, rain or shine, great astrology or bad astrology, here to gently guide you into it and point out the celestial opportunities, as well as give advice for how to navigate these celestial challenges. And this week, there are aplenty celestial challenges that I will be walking you through. And what are these challenges that I speak of? First challenge is the Taurus Lunar Eclipse on Tuesday, November 8th, which is a revelation. It's a full moon that is going to guide us forward. It's on the North Node, but it's something shocking. It's conjoining Uranus and deeply, deeply unpleasant to look at, square to Saturn. It's a bitter pill to swallow, but it's a pill that we need to swallow in order to carve the change that is necessary and in order to build our foundation forward. And so while this is a lunation that truly, my love, is for your highest and best good, it's not for your most comfortable good, okay? So in addition to that lovely little lunation, we also have Sun squaring Saturn, we have Mercury opposite Uranus square Saturn, we have Venus trining Neptune, Mercury trining Neptune, Venus sextile Pluto. So what do we get when we put that all together? If those were all ingredients and this week was a soup, what would it taste like, essentially? That's what we do in Vibe Check of the Week, which is when we liken the week's astrology to a real life situation so that you can begin to tune in to how these themes can come to the surface for you. Before we dive in, we're gonna need to get a little caffeinated before this chaotic week of astrology, right? So what's everyone sipping on to start their week? I made a little matcha latte out of my Magic Mind productivity shots, and I've been popping in every so often, chatting with you guys about Magic Mind. Magic Monday, Magic Mind, it's a perfect fit. And a couple weeks ago, I told you guys about 14 Days of Magic, which is an initiative driven by Magic Mind to help support the Amazon rainforest reforestation efforts and inspiring us to be the best version of ourselves. So I shared with you all that I was pledging to walk every single day. Not only is that good for my mental health, good for my physical health, I also pledged to pick up trash as I went and meditate as I go. And so I just wanted to give a little check-in on how it went, what I'm noticing after drinking Magic Mind every single day and going out for a walk every single day. So first thing what I noticed is that I can make the time. And honestly, I'm more productive when I make the time. I really was kind of loose on when I had my walk. I knew I needed to get it done every single day, and I knew we have limited hours of sunlight since daylight savings is upon us here in the US. But I was flexible around when I would go on that walk. And I decided whenever I noticed, you know, when you're just like sitting in front of a project and you just cannot focus and you're like, come on, do the thing. Instead of just sitting there and forcing it, I would take a pause, go for a walk, drink my Magic Mind, come back. And it's amazing how much more you get done when you are in the zone rather than just beating your head on the wall. I find that particularly when it comes to my writing assignments, like writing the Magic Monthly horoscopes. I love doing it, but I need to be in the zone when I'm writing. And it's like so awkward when you're forcing writing, like the words just will not come to you. So I realized every time I caught myself in that, rather than forcing it, trying to get it done as fast as possible, I took a break, went for a walk, came back, and was able to zoom through my tasks with much more ease and efficiency. And that's what Magic Mind is all about, is getting your brain into that flow state where you are just fully absorbed and you can really unlock your brain's fullest potential. So having the combo of both getting outside every single day, no matter how busy I felt like I was and how many work tasks I had on my plate, it was a commitment I made to myself. And when I gave myself those pauses and those moments to reorient myself, I was much more productive and focused. Secondly, what I noticed is how helpful it is for me to get physical, right? Like so often I would just kind of go down a tunnel spiral around, I have to do this, I have to do this, but anchoring into my physical body by just getting moving, getting underneath the sunshine, as well as physically picking up trash really helped me to get out of my mind and out of my spiral, Scorpio season spiral, as well as many of my tasks are digital, which is great. Obviously, my Aquarius placements, I'm not against digital tasks, but it was really rewarding to see portions of my neighborhood that were filled with trash and then to see that they were clean as a result of my physical, tangible efforts. So that felt really good. Yes, it did bring up some anger when I was like, why do people litter? It doesn't make any sense. But at least I was able to kind of transmute that anger, that frustration into something that is helping my neighborhood and is helping my community. I'm going to try to continue to do my walks and my Magic Mind every single day. It's been so good for my mental health, as well as just like for my community, for my neighborhood, also for my work tasks, getting in flow. So I'd love to hear what's been coming to the surface for you. If you pledged for 14 days of magic, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I have a link below where you can find out how you can get involved. And there's even a way where you can submit the content that you create via the hashtag 14 days of magic, and I'll be able to judge in a contest which submission wins some Magic Mind. So check it out, get involved. Even just watching the content with 14 days of magic raises money for the Amazon rainforest reforestation efforts. Keep in mind, every 10,000 views that hashtag gets, $10 is donated to the Amazon rainforest reforestation efforts. It's a digital way to create physical effects. So cheers, my loves. Here's to a magical week amidst the chaos. Okay, so I finished drinking my Magic Mind latte, so now I'm all in the zone, ready to deliver you all of the tea about this week's astrological forecast. And let's check out about Vibe Check of the Week, because Vibe Check of the Week this week is a little dark, but the astrology is a little dark. I want you to think of a time when you were younger, when you just needed to escape into your own world to just numb out from what was happening around you. Whether it was dealing with bullies at school or your parents fighting or some other major shift within your world, there was this call to kind of go inward. And what was your strategy of escapism when you were younger? What was your favorite activity? Would you escape into video games? Would you escape into making videos? Would you escape into reading? I would love to know. For me, I was just always in my own world, whether I was going through it or not. I have this photo of when I was younger. I'll insert it if I can find it. And to me, it just describes what my world was like growing up, because I just have all of these toys everywhere. I have like my video camera, I have like my boombox, I have like books. It was like I just had my own inner world. I spent a lot of time alone and I loved it. I had this voracious imagination. I was always making movies or doing all this stuff alone. But anyways, I would love to know what your favorite strategy was for that, because it does feel like that's going to be important this week, and I'll chat about why. So as I highlighted, the Taurus Lunar Eclipse is uncomfortable. It's that energy where, you know, your parents are fighting, there's bullies at school, you're having to move, things around you feel very chaotic and very unstable, and it's almost too much to handle, right? Because this lunar eclipse, it's a full moon, and typically when it comes to eclipses, full moons are a little bit more personal, they're a little bit more emotional, and they speak to revelations. And with it on Uranus, it's something unexpected. Oh, we're moving. Oh, you got a fight and now all of your friends hate you. Oh, this incident happened with your parents and now they're fighting. It's something unpredictable, and it's something that sort of disrupts the daily routine. And keep in mind, eclipses are not life-changing every single round for every single person, and thank goodness for that. But even if it's not shaking and rocking your entire world, there can be a subtle story that's playing out, a subtle sort of nudge from the cosmos. Hey, this is what needs change. Hey, this is what you need to break out of. Hey, this is what needs change. Hey, this is what you need to disrupt out of. Hey, these are certain roles that you've been playing that no longer align and you need to do your own thing. Uranus is also the energy of the rebel, right? And so while there's this revelation around what needs change or what you need to disrupt out of, there's a square to Saturn. So it's not necessarily change that's like lovely, like, oh, we're just moving because it's a new house. It's a change that's born out of an unpleasant circumstance. It's a change that's born out of restriction. It's a change that's needed out of just having to face reality and get real about it, right? And that's not always comfortable. But I will say, make sure to check out the eclipse video to get more intel on the eclipse story that's playing out for your life, which signs and placements will feel this eclipse the most. And while there's this revelation around what needs change, what do I need to break out of, how do I need to be my own person, with the conjunction to Uranus, there's a square to Saturn. So it's not a change that's born out of, I'm going to try this on. It's a change that's born out of necessity. It's a change that's born out of having to face reality, right? Like a move that is necessary because of real life situations, a fight that's coming up because of the reality of a situation, bullies making your schooling deeply, deeply unpleasant, and you having to find a shift in order to survive, right? It's change, but it's change that comes out of restriction. It kind of reminds me, sorry to mix all these vibe checks, but it just reminds me of the process of repotting. I feel like that's very on point for this Taurus lunar eclipse. If you have plants, essentially there's a point where they're root bound, where they can't grow any longer. And the process of repotting a plant is deeply traumatic for the plant, right? But it stagnates its growth. So it's like, yes, this is a change, and there's this revelation around what in our life needs change that's uncomfortable. We're used to this little pot. What do you mean I have to leave this little pot? And getting to that new pot, it's like, I don't know. Can my roots grow to fit in this? I don't know. It's uncomfortable. But it's like, yes, this eclipse is on the North Node. It is pushing us forward. It's pushing us onward. Sometimes change comes not from a whisper from the universe, but from a scream, from something happening for us to make that change. Going back to the vibe check, your parents fighting, bullies at school, a move, uncomfortable, not pleasant to deal with, but there can be something that emerges within their argument, or a new path that starts with that move, or something that you realize about yourself as you stand up for yourself against the bullies that is guiding your pathway forward, even though it's very deeply uncomfortable. Now, the reason I spoke in the vibe check about this desire to want to escape into our own world, firstly, Jupiter is in Pisces, right? And we also have this Neptune aspect. So it's like there's a lot of unpleasant stuff happening this week, and that unpleasant stuff is sort of making this call for us to just escape into our own world. For anything, just for survival mode. I believe that sometimes daydreaming and attuning to our own world and our imagination can be sometimes some of the most productive time that we can spend. And sometimes we need that just escaping, whether it's into a good album, whether it's just a day at a museum where we just don't think about our problems, whether it's like listening to your Walkman and pretending you were in a music video. That was one of my favorite styles of escapism when I was younger, for sure. Whatever it is, to just be like, okay, things are intense right now. I just need a respite. I just need to escape into my own daydreams. And that's okay. And I encourage that with this week. If anything, just to give your soul fuel, just as you kind of cope with the challenges that are at play. And the reason, so many of you know, if you tune into Magic Monday, oftentimes I just sit in front of the aspects, meditate, and just kind of tune into what comes to me when I think about all the aspects. And this week, it was a particular line in a song. It's from the song In My Dreams by Kali Uchis. And there's this part of the song where it's like, the moments that we are happiest are the moments that we don't exist, which is a little dark. As I highlighted, it's a little dark. It's Scorpio season, guys. Don't come for me. It's a little dark, right? But sometimes we need to just escape into our own world just for survival, just be able to draw inspiration and some sort of happiness and some sort of joy in order to give ourselves strength as we move through the changes that are necessary this eclipse season. To dream, to envision what could be, what might be. And I want you to give yourself that space. Give yourself that space to escape. You may have grown up now and don't necessarily need to play music to drown out your parents fighting. You don't need to make a whole story of your dolls all being friends in order to cope with the bullies at school. You don't need to play computer games to distract yourself from this move and having to change schools. That might not be the scenario now, but I want you to think of that energy around attuning to your own world just to cope, to nurture yourself, to attune to your dream world. Because this week is just sort of a dose of reality. And while, you know, sometimes we have to deal with some reality stuff, I also want you to find that escape within your own soul. Healthy escapism. We'll chat more about that. Jupiter is in Pisces after all. But without further ado, let's take it into day by day breakdown. Do keep in mind, I am located on the West Coast of the United States, so all times that I mention will be PST. Ensure that you adjust to your time zone if you're located elsewhere. There are timestamps below if you want to jump to a particular day, or if you want to come back at the end of the week, jump to a particular day, see how the themes came to the surface. And without further ado, let's dig into the astrology of Monday, November 7th. So my love, the moon is in Taurus all day, so it's extra moony Monday. You may know the day Monday is governed by the moon in astrology, and it's significant because because it's building to the full moon on Tuesday. Now here in the US, I spoke about this a little bit in the eclipse reading, which make sure to check out the eclipse video if you have not yet to see what eclipse story is playing out for you. But here in the US, it's election day, which things are always a little chaotic during that time. And especially with the full moon, people are a little wacky. And with this building to a full moon, things tend to be intense. People tend to be rushed. People tend to be extra emotional. Even though the moon's exalted, people tend to be a little bit more frantic. There tends to be this quickening pace as the moon builds to full. And I want you to note that and choose instead to go slow, okay? Choose instead to be steady. Notice people rushing on the highway, notice people at work pressuring you to get the deadline done, but strive to anchor in that energy of Taurus, like Taurus is the bull, one hoof in front of the other. Because if we look at who the moon is answering to, the moon is answering to Venus. Now, I chatted about Venus squaring Saturn last week because I'm West Coast, so technically it exacted last week. Make sure to check out last week's Magic Monday for more insight on that. But do know, since it happened so late on Sunday night, we're gonna feel it Monday. So with this energy of Venus squaring Saturn, it's this vibe around feeling restricted around love, not feeling lovable, feeling restricted about finances, not having finances necessarily at your disposal, or not feeling very abundant. There's this restriction around your own loveliness, your own beauty, things of the nature. It's just this vibe where we're simply not in the mood. We're not in the mood to spend money. We're not in the mood to show love. We're all feeling a little stingy. We're feeling stingy on love, stingy on money, stingy on energy. So Monday just feels like a day where people are just a little, yes, rushed, but also a little crabby. It's just the vibe. It's just the vibe. So just anchor in that slow and steady energy around, okay, I'm just gonna handle this. I'm gonna handle this. Marty is in a bad mood, but that is Marty's deal. I'm just gonna focus on what's right in front of me. As I was sort of highlighting with 14 Days of Magic, like it's so important with Taurus North Node. As soon as we're noticing we're going through a Scorpio spiral, it's important to ground yourself physically. What do I hear right now? What can I touch? What is in front of me, right? It's so funny. My boyfriend leaving this morning, he was like, bye dear, try not to spiral today. And I'm like, it's Scorpio season. I low-key can't help it. But it is helpful when you're kind of going through that dissolve around, and then this can happen, and then this can happen, to just anchor down into, okay, what's in front of me? Let me smell something. Let me go for a walk. Let me ground down physically. Let me not read into what Marty said. Let me just attune to what is right in front of me. Eclipse season survival tips for real. And keep in mind, the eclipse exacts very early on Tuesday morning, so you're gonna feel it build on Monday. So people can be wacky, frenzied, intense. Focus on what's in front of you, one step at a time. On Tuesday, November 8th, the Taurus Lunar Eclipse exacts very early in the morning, 3:02 PST to be exact. And as I highlighted within the vibe check, this eclipse conjoins Uranus. It also opposes Mercury, which I don't think I shared on, and it squares Saturn. Now, when eclipse involves Mercury, there's a message coming out, right? And with Mercury building to oppose Uranus and square Saturn, it's an uncomfortable message, right? It's not comfortable to hear your parents fight. It's not comfortable to be told you have to move and disrupt your whole, learning experience. Like those sort of things when you're younger feels like the end of the world, right? But is there a message embedded? Is there something that's coming out within parents arguing? Is there something that's coming out within that move? Is there something that's coming out via you dealing with these bullies that are gonna draw you forward? Yes, but that doesn't make it comfortable. It doesn't make it a great life experience, even if you learn from it, right? Like last week I shared about, pony in a hole. I had to pay $1 to see the world's smallest horse, and it was actually a pony in a hole. Like sometimes it just sucks, and you could be like, oh, we're learning from it, but it still sucks in the moment. It's not always helpful when you're going through something and someone's like, you're gonna learn so much. You might be listening to Magic Monday and being like, okay, I'm not to the point where I'm able to be like, what a great learning lesson. Like I'm not there yet, and I'm not making you. But I'm just saying with this eclipse conjoining Mercury, there is some sort of message or some sort of revelation coming out that is going to help you forward. It's not pleasant. It's not pleasant to hear. It's not pleasant to experience, but it is going to nudge you forward. I also want to highlight in the US, it is election day, which always tends to be a little hectic. And with Mercury opposite Uranus, I'm a bit concerned about technical difficulties. So please make sure you vote if you're in the US. There also just could be technical difficulties that you observe at work with your devices, with Mercury, Uranus, news that is unexpected, out of left field. Uranus's vibe is expect the unexpected. So just keep your eyes open. And again, some of these technical difficulties could be a major bummer. Dang, this project that I was working on got deleted from my computer. Oh, but you're learning from it. Oh, you learned that you need to back it up. Okay, yes, I did learn that, but it still sucks. Like every time something goes wrong with my technology, like with filming or anything, my boyfriend is like, at least you learned that you have to do it this way. And I'm like, I'm not there yet. I need to just grieve this annoying situation before I can be like, but it's all good because I'm learning. Like obviously we are learning, but it still sucks in the minute. So I also just want to say there can be technical difficulties that are annoying, right? That are frustrating, that make us feel like we're beating our head against the wall. Hence the need for escapism as we move later into this week. Again, one step in front of the other. It is Scorpio season, so if you need to scream into a pillow, if you need to go in the middle of the woods and scream it out, Mars is retrograde, my love. So watch your impulses, watch your reactions. Again, we can grieve, but we gotta keep moving. And there is this energy around being able to anchor in the changes because the moon sextiles Neptune and trines Pluto. So it's like, yes, hate this, hate that I lost this computer, hate that my parents are fighting, hate that we have to move, hate that I'm being bullied. This is so annoying. But there's almost this energy where it's kind of stimulating our growth. It's stimulating our resilience, our ability to be able to get up and deal with this move. To be able to, if you can write that paper once, you can write it again and maybe it'll come out even better. Like there is this grit and this resilience around being able to cope with life's challenges. Again, like dealing with things by attuning to your dream world for a moment to fuel up doesn't make you lazy or delusional. It just makes you someone who needs to sort of charge up your spirit in order to get back out there and continue dealing with reality. Like keep in mind, the person who's delivering you this forecast is a Pisces, so it's like I already have this interesting relationship with reality and that I can't do a lot of it, so I need to escape into my dream world in order to like charge up and then go back to reality. Does anybody else get that? Please let me know in the comments if anyone gets that or if I sound insane right now. But that's what's necessary this week. Charging up our inner world in order to keep being resilient and dealing with the major life stuff that's coming out at this time. And with this lunation, it's uncomfortable. It's not pleasant, but it is giving us grit in order to notice what's coming up, charge yourselves up, and then just keep on going. This lunation is on the North Node, so it's guiding us and prodding us forward. Even if we don't see the lesson in the time, what option do we have but to keep going? You could take a pause, listen to your music, take your little walk, and then just get right back to it, showing up even stronger, even more resilient than before. Wednesday, the 9th, the sun opposes Uranus, and this was involved, obviously, in the lunation, and it happened so early on Wednesday. We're gonna feel this Tuesday as well, and truly all this Uranus just asks for us to stay open. Stay open to possibilities, stay open to change. It's so fascinating having Uranus in Taurus because it's usually energy that really likes a particular way of doing things and gets uncomfortable when it's a disruption to the routine. It's really asking us to stay open. You know, this move is going to be uncomfortable, but who knows what could await when we are there. And it asks us to stay open to possibilities, open to what life could be, what we could be, and not to, you know, miss out on the magic when we kind of suffocate how things need to be and how things need to show up. As I highlighted with Scorpio season, a lot of this is pulling at our control issues. Again, I'm not coming for Scorpio, I'm just saying, you know, let's call a spade a spade. But with this energy, it's really asking us, whatever we have a really tight grip around, no, it needs to look like this. No, I need to go to this school. No, you guys need to stop fighting. Like, it's really asking us to stay flexible, to stay open to possibility. Again, the change that's coming, it's coming out of unpleasant circumstances. It's coming out of need. It's coming out of necessity, which isn't always pleasant. It's not like getting up and being like, I'm moving to Aruba. It's like getting up and being like, I'm moving to Aruba because there is a major flood in my house. It's like change that's thrust, that might be exciting, but it's born out of circumstances that are not very pleasant. But the overwhelming desire of these Uranus aspects is for us to be open to possibility, for us to relinquish this energy around it needs to look like this, you need to look like this, my life needs to look like this, and to stay open to what would it look like. And that leaving that element of surprise isn't always comfortable. We don't always love it, but it can lead to interesting diversions in our tale. Like my friends and I, whenever something unpleasant is happening, we're like, okay, this will make a great memoir chapter. Sometimes it helps to just see the big picture around, it's just content, baby. This is just a great story to tell. Like, how boring would it be if I plotted how my life was gonna be and it was exactly that way? That wouldn't make a very great memoir, right? Like, those unusual, unexpected twists and turns are what enrich in the tale. Not always fun to navigate. Again, not always fun to navigate, but we have to stay open, you know? The rest is still unwritten. Okay, I'm sorry. And the reason I'm being so corny about it is just because the Taurus moon sextiles Jupiter in Pisces before being void around 4 a.m. So it is this energy around attuning to the big picture, being like, okay, this change was not part of the plan. These revelations were not part of the plan. The project I was working on at work being deleted was not part of the plan, but this is finally an energy where it's like, maybe we can learn from it. But we're open. This is so interesting. I'm so curious to see how this will all turn out. Like, this kind of continuation from last week around just this energy around having to be a little bit of an observer, just like, okay, this is interesting. This is interesting. What's happening? I'm so curious and interested to see what happens next. And the moon enters Gemini at 5:37, so the moon's void around 4 a.m. to 5:37. Do watch out for interesting dreams as the Taurus moon does sextile Jupiter in Pisces. That's the closing aspect, so it could be interesting revelations from your dream world. And then the moon enters Gemini, which rampens up our communication, our curiosity, which is all well and good, but then we follow the ruler of this lunation, and it's Mercury squaring Saturn. So again, all these moon aspects, it's like our emotional world might feel really stuck or restricted or like sort of going through it. With Mercury Saturn, this is the vibe where everything that we're looking at, we're seeing through these little Saturn lens. Can this be helpful? Yes, it can. Sometimes we have to deal with this annoying little thing called reality. Again, I'm not a fan of it, if I haven't made that clear. It's having to look at things. So with Mercury square Saturn, it can be helpful in attuning to kind of the logical, practical things that we have to fix about our reality. So like for me, I've been sharing that my garbage disposal is broken. It is still broken, my loves. It is still broken. I'm just waiting for one to come down from the sky. Maybe during this Mercury square Saturn, I'll actually face it head on. It's not pleasant. You gotta go to the store, you gotta get quotes, you gotta pay money, but we're gonna feel better when it's fixed. So maybe you're not feeling it with the garbage disposal, maybe you're feeling it with a tough conversation that you know you need to have. Maybe you're feeling it with a work project that you just need to get done. It's this energy where we're like, I just need to face reality. I just need to deal with this thing. This is annoying, I'm frustrated, I just need to get it done. I do wanna highlight Mercury Saturn is the energy where we're seeing our life through this lens around what's wrong. And that's not pleasant. It's like the vibe I shared with 14 Days of Magic. I've been going around picking up trash, and with Mercury square Saturn, it's like I'm trying to enjoy this walk. It's also beautiful, but I'm getting so annoyed. All I can focus on is all of this disgusting trash everywhere. And I'm like, who leaves this trash? It's disgusting, it's gross. It's like we're less able to focus on the walk and we're more attuned to what's wrong. This is horrible. Or like on ourselves, why are you like this? At work, things are technically fine, but it's like, this isn't going right, so now everything feels horrible. It's just like our mind hyper-focusing, come on, Mercury's in Scorpio, hyper-focusing on what's wrong. Can that be helpful? Yes. It's like, rather than enjoying my home, I'm hyper-focusing on my garbage disposal is broken, this is so annoying, but maybe hyper-focusing on that will help you fix it. So my advice for this is try not to be so hard on yourself. Know that you are viewing the world through pessimism. I promise you it is not that bad. Some gratitude practice might be good to kind of like counteract this energy if you are noticing you're sort of Scorpio spiraling. It's part of the season, guys. It's part of the season. I can't put things down my sink, but I do have a warm place to sleep at night. That is something. But let's deal with the garbage disposal. One of these days, guys, I'm gonna be able to report that I actually dealt with it. I have high hopes about this week. I really, really do. So on Wednesday, my advice, deal with the annoying stuff, face it head on, gratitude practice if you're getting too negative about yourself. I promise you it is not as bad as how it is that you are seeing right now. Keep in mind, this Mercury is who the moon's answering to, so it's almost like just seeing yourself, seeing your life through this lens around what's wrong rather than what's right, okay? So I just want you to be gentle with yourself, deal with the hard stuff, Tomorrow is a nice little dreamy day, okay? And Thursday the 10th is the vibe around dissolving into our own world. It's like things are so annoying. Everything feels wrong. Our relationships feel wrong. Our house is falling apart. Our job feels off. We feel like everybody's mad at us. There's uncomfortable changes happening. It feels like it sucks. Thursday is the day around, I just need a time out. I just need a timeout. I just need to close the door in my bedroom and listen to my Walkman and drown out the noise of all of my responsibilities and all of my stuff. Maybe on Wednesday you dealt with some of them, maybe some you missed, but on Thursday with Venus trine Neptune is this energy around, I just need a break. I just need a respite. This is too much, because trust me, dealing with problem after problem, it's not helpful for your mental health. Like everything in balance, my love, okay? So tackle some problems, handle what you can, but when you're noticing you're getting to your breaking point, that's the time to take a break. Sometimes taking a break can be the most productive thing that you can do. And with Venus trine Neptune, it's asking you to find the magic in life again, okay? So this is escaping into a book. This is escaping into a record. This is escaping into making a video. Whatever your little world is that gives you a sense of peace in the big picture, that's what I want you to find on Thursday. I want you to encourage fantasy. And like I always say with Neptune, healthy ways of escaping, right? Escaping into a record and crying. It's okay to cry. Neptune's in Pisces. We'll be feeling a little bit more sensitive. Escaping into a painting, escaping into art that you admire, escaping into nature. Something that allows you to ignore reality a little bit in order to sort of charge up your soul space, okay? Like our soul can only take so much harsh Saturn energy. We really need to microdose reality this week. I'm not kidding. And like Thursday really is the vibe around sometimes a break is the most productive thing that you can do, because there's equally focused energy as well as dreamy energy. So if you're noticing that you're still kind of in a negative headspace, you know, Mercury square Saturn's technically like leaving, but we're still gonna feel it. Giving yourself a break, like going for a walk, listening to a record, something to just dissolve into your own world, because the moon builds to trine Saturn later that day. So you can find you are more in the zone when you take a break. Take a cry break, take a walk break, take an art break. Take a break, okay? It's an intense week, my love. Take a break. On Friday, the 11th, Sun squares Saturn. So another little punch to the ego, right? Just because that's what we needed. That is what we needed this week. With Sun square Saturn, this is limitations and restrictions to our confidence. This is not feeling so great about ourselves. Again, it's like the bully's getting to you and you feel bad about yourself. It's like your parents fighting and you feel horrible. It's like this move and you feel like the awkward new kid. It's like with Sun square Saturn, it's just an energy where we're just feeling not enough. We're feeling self-conscious. We're feeling not in our fullest charged magic. It's feeling very, very blah. And this happened so early on Friday. You could feel this kind of building on Thursday, which is why I'm saying if you're feeling this energy around everywhere you turn, you hit a dead end. Everywhere you turn, you do something wrong. You're just like, what can I do right? You know, when life just feels so much harder, there's like a task that should be simple, but of course your hard drive is breaking, and of course this isn't going right. And it's like, well, okay, why'd I even try, right? Why did I even try? Trust me, take a little pause. If possible, this isn't always possible, but the moon is in Gemini, so if it's possible to laugh at yourself, be like, that's so funny that my hard drive isn't working and I've been staying at work late and all this stuff is happening, and I also have all this stuff happening in my personal life. This is gonna be a great memoir chapter. I'm telling you, this week, things may not go wrong, and sometimes you just need to turn up the music in order to drown out the yelling from your life, right? Sometimes you just need a second to be like, this is nuts. I just need a second to recharge, replenish from within, and then keep being resilient, right? And with Sun square Saturn, I just want to highlight, this can be an ego punch. There might be a rejection, a no, something that makes you feel not good about yourself. And I just want you to know this rejection does not define you. It's simply building the character arc for your memoir, okay? I read a lot of memoirs, and it's like, the memoirs where it's like, and then this happened, and then everything was great, and then this success, and then this, and then this. It's just not that exciting. We want character arc. We want building, and it's not always pleasant to be in the process of your character arc, but it's gonna make a good memoir one day, my love. So with Sun square Saturn, just know this is not the end of your book, okay? It's still being written. Dust yourself off in this fall. Listen to an album in order to take a second, just tune out the world, and then keep going, okay? This too shall pass. And Friday, there's a conjunction to Mars early in the morning, which is very powerful around a go, 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 kind of busy mentally energy. The Gemini moon does square Jupiter in Pisces later that day, so you might have this energy around feeling really frazzled, having too much on your plate, saying yes to this and yes to this and yes to this. The moon is void at 2:28 p.m., so do try to get an important task done early. Like I'm telling you, with Moon Mars, do the most important task first thing. It is crazy how much, oh, just this little email and this little thing, how like when we keep building that important task up in our mind, it just keeps being pushed back. All of those little tasks can literally take up your whole day. Do the most important thing first, okay? Especially on Friday. Do the most important thing first, and you could be building up in your mind, think it's gonna take all this time, and you might find, wow, that only took 2 hours, because I will tell you, brain power is working on Friday, okay? Just be mindful around not trying to do all the things, trying to stay on track. You know, Mars is retrograde, and then the moon, the Gemini moon squaring Jupiter in Pisces, which is a little daydreamy. Stay focused, stay attuned, handle the big stuff first, and then handle the little minutia. As highlighted, the moon is void at 2:28, and when the moon is void, important tasks we must avoid. And then when the moon enters Cancer at 4:22, this essentially ends the void. And this is very helpful as it relates to our home matters, our domestic matters. Cancer is a very emotional energy, so we can feel more attuned to our inner landscape. And we might find this weekend that we're really feeling this call to be at home, be comfy, cozy. And all I'm saying is after this week, you absolutely deserve it. On Saturday, the 12th, Mercury trines Neptune. So again, we have this little Neptune party. And with Mercury trine Neptune, our head is in the clouds, right? We are just in la la land, which is sometimes a preferred place to be because the Cancer moon's very sensitive. It's squaring off with Chiron and Aries. And keep in mind, the sun is separating from its aspect to Saturn. So again, there was like some harsh annoyances. There's life stuff. There's reality. We're annoyed. Our ego feels a little crushed. And with Mercury trine Neptune, it's like, let's just escape. Let's daydream into our own world. Let's envision a scenario where we stand up to the bullies and it goes very well. Let's envision a scenario where our whole family's on a vacation, happy as can be. Maybe it's in conflict with your current reality, but you are not defined by your current reality. And with Mercury trine Neptune, there is a desire to kind of tune into our spiritual connection as well. And you can find that telephone wire of communication, so to speak, is very open. So asking for support, asking for help. Sometimes it helps to pray about a situation, whether or not you believe in God, believe in the cosmos. Sometimes it just helps to ask for help. Just be like, please, I'm going through it. Can you just send me a sign? And like, ask for a sign, ask for help. I was going through it. And so I asked Spirit, I was like, okay, if I'm gonna be okay, if I'm gonna coast these challenges, show me a license plate on this walk. Show me a license plate with 888 and show me a pug. I love pugs. And 20 minutes went by. I was like, ugh, I really am out here by myself. Are you there, God? It's me, Haley. Like, what? But then literally back to back, going up a hill, I'll never forget it. Going up a hill, turn a corner, pug. I was like, okay, but there's a lot of pugs in this neighborhood. Car drives by, 888, same time. I was like, okay, you're there. Okay, I hear you. I feel supported. Got it. So asking for help, asking for prayers, asking for assistance, as well as with Mercury trine Neptune, looking at our world through a little bit of a daydreamy lens, right? Taking a little vacation from reality if necessary this weekend, whether it's going on a nice walk, attuning to nature, getting lost in a book, writing some poetry, do something that takes you out of the everyday and connects you with the ethereal, with the divine. It'll help you coast through these changes that are taking place. Sunday the 13th, Venus sextiles Pluto very early in the morning. And when you think about Pluto, it's really the energy around transformation. It's the energy of power, which sometimes we need to surrender in order to come back stronger. Does that make sense? Like the energy of Sun square Saturn and Mercury trine Neptune, it's that energy where it's like sometimes you have to surrender. Like sometimes at school, you feel like the bullies win. You need to take a weekend, make your silly videos, play with your silly dolls, play your computer games, and you come back on Monday and you show up with your head held high. Like Venus sextile Pluto speaks to grit. Pluto speaks to resilience. Pluto speaks to showing up even stronger. They may have won this battle, but you are gonna win the whole shebang, right? Because you will continue showing up. You will continue showing up until you are the strongest, most resilient version of yourself. And just because you need that moment to surrender, to be like, I need a second to dissolve into my own world, but you continue showing up practically and within reality. Like, that's the energy of Venus sextile Pluto. It could also speak to deeper intimacy within our connections, a desire to transform within our connections. It could be very powerful for finances. So an energy to play with early Sunday. The Cancer moon is busy on Sunday. Cancer moon sextiles Uranus and Taurus very early in the morning, truly like middle of the night. It trines the Cancer sun, it trines Mercury in Scorpio, it trines Neptune in Pisces for this cute little water grand trine. And my encouragement for you on Sunday is to attune to what makes you feel like home, what makes you feel safe even amidst the challenges and the gut punches to your ego and the frustrating difficulties at work and the changes that are being made necessary. What in your life has stayed constant? Like I said, this week we're kind of viewing things through Saturnian lens and all the things that are going wrong. Sunday, I want you to tune to what's going right, or what at least is allowing you to feel anchored through the changes. Is it that friend who feels like home in a human being, calling them up? Maybe it's an activity that makes you feel safe and cared for and allows you to charge up your little soul battery to navigate these changes. Maybe it's an album, your comfort TV show, your comfort content creator. I feel so grateful to be able to create content online, and this feels really dramatic, but I low-key, when I was getting into it, I felt like it was my duty to, just because there were so many people online, literally, who made me feel digitally, parasocially there for me when I was coasting through some turbulent times a couple summers ago. I would feel safe. I would be able to escape from my reality and tune into a digital world. And it really helped me during that really, really challenging time. So I feel very grateful. If there was like one person who have helped at all on the internet, I feel like that's my duty to, because there's been so many content creators who have made me feel safe at a time that my world felt very turbulent. I think there is something to say about that. So I feel very grateful that I'm doing this now. And yes, I feel like it's my duty. I mean, so many people have helped me, particularly astrology YouTubers. I remember there was an entire summer, I think I binged all of Astrology and also Stargirl the Practical Witch. I think I binged all of their videos one summer. Attuning to what makes you feel safe in the bigger scheme of things. And the Cancer moon does build to oppose Pluto in Capricorn. So do be mindful not to, reminisce too much on the past. Cancer moon can be nostalgic. So being mindful, anchor into what feels safe now. Try not to, oftentimes when we are going through something, we're like, 2 years ago when I was with that person, I wasn't going through this. Like, you can maybe be nostalgic about the past, but don't get stuck there, right? We gotta keep on keeping on, my love. And I will say the Cancer moon does trine Venus and Scorpio. So lovely to make a really great home cooked meal, maybe bake something lovely. Made a really nice soup last night. This is like soup astrology weather. And I will say, make sure to encourage some pleasure within your day on Sunday, whether it is, watching football, making a home cooked meal, or baking something lovely. The Cancer moon does trine Venus in Scorpio, which is asking for comfort. It's asking for pleasure. So loves, that is our week. What a roller coaster. The Magic Monday mantra of the week that I'm going to encourage you to anchor into, if it resonates, is I ground myself amidst the changes. It is eclipse season, cosmic course correction season. A lot of people's lives are being flipped upside down. Maybe for you the change isn't quite that drastic, but there's still messages and stuff coming to the surface. I want you to ground yourself amidst it. Now, I chose this word because sometimes being grounded looks like dealing with it very practically. Like I said, with all the Saturn aspects, dealing with the situation at hand. Having to really look at the garbage disposal and be like, how are we going to fix this? Having to look at our life and being like, this isn't going right. How are we going to address this, right? But I don't want you to get stuck there. It's not always good for our mental health to be constantly putting out fires. Sometimes what grounding looks like is taking a break, taking a step back and being like, I need to listen to an album. I need to go for a hike. I need to fill up my soul battery in order to ground myself, in order to keep showing up, okay? I want you to check in with yourself. I want you to handle what you need to handle, but I also want you to have that dialogue with self to realize I need a break. I do not feel well. I am spiraling. I need a pause. I am telling you, sometimes you just need a little escape from reality. You need that afternoon in the museum with your friend. You need to just eat that ice cream cone. Like, you just need a time out so you can continue showing up. So I am sending you so much love as you navigate this challenging week. My Instagram handle is @HaleyCometAstrology. My TikTok is the same. I would love to connect with you over there. And until we meet again, drink lots of water and stay magical.